this computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of people. Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Hello.
Ah, Arlene Spagna, I see.
Hi.
Hello, Arlene.
We can't see everybody, so say hi if you want. And
Hello.
hi.
Hello.
Hey.
I see a student of mine, Isabella Gianelli, too.
Ilaria, per favore, si è cambiato the top of my, I can't see everybody.
No, Luis Bruna too. Nice.
I'm not sure how to see everybody. I probably need a second monitor for that. Hi, Josette. I do see you.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
And I see Christina's joining. Wow, we're up to 25.
Hello.
Welcome, everyone. We'll give just a minute, I think, for people to continue coming in. We might be getting close.
Così oppure così.
Hi, Lisa.
Come
I just saw
preferisci?
your name.
E qui sotto puoi vedere 25 persone,
Oh,
26.
okay.
Sempre di più.
Isn't
Wow.
that something?
I know.
Haley, I have a question for you.
Hello.
Where it's telling me participant, can I close that or will I wreck something?
It's Mr. Bruno.
Like off to the side?
Yeah, it's showing me, and it's kind
You
of,
can close it.
Yeah, you can close it.
it won't do anything to, okay. All right.
But it's very seasonal.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started. My name is Tanya Russo Hamilton. I'm here with my dad, Antonio Russo. We're so excited to be doing this program. I'm with a group called, we're a nonprofit organization in Portland, Oregon called Italian Portland. And what we do is we just bring Italian cultural opportunities to our, to our community. So, and this is just so exciting because here we are, and I'll let the story unfold. But yeah, so I'm Tanya, this is Tony, and then I'll turn it over to Ilaria to introduce herself.
Ilaria?
Yes, buonasera. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I see my students. I think I see a few of my students, even from Italian 1. We're going to speak in English tonight, but I am Ilaria Serra, professor at FAU, Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton. This is Emanuele Pettener.
I am associate professor of Italian at FAU.
Yes, and we are very proud to be here and present
Very
to you Nicoletta Sorice, who was our undergraduate student only a few years ago. And now she's the star. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lou, Bruno. Thank you, all the other friends that we see.
Yes, that's fantastic.
Hi, Teresa.
Ciao, mamma.
Mia figlia Teresa. So happy to see you.
I wish
Vorrei incominciare oppure diamo l'opportunità al Mr. Russo di iniziare la sua storia.
Oh, we can go like this, I think. Okay, well, yeah, so what we're doing today is Antonio and Nicoletta kind of met by chance. I had reached out to Ilaria because we're writing a second edition of a book that about Antonio's story. And I learned about her through another Portland author. And I thought, I want to see if she can give me some insight or information. And all of a sudden, we're hearing from Nicoletta because we've never met anybody from this small town, Roccarainola, 30 kilometers northeast of Naples, ever. And then here we are, and we, by chance, Nicoletta is Ilaria's student, and Nicoletta has written a book. So what we're going to do, here's a picture, an old picture of Rocca. We're going to go through some slides. I'm going to turn it over to Antonio, my dad, and he'll talk through his kind of story, and then Nicoletta will talk through her story. If you have questions, feel free to, unmute and ask as they're going, or put them in the chat. My daughter Haley, who's out there somewhere now, is going to help me with looking at whatever you put in the chat. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is just the intro slide. Nicoletta and Antonio were both born in the small town of Roccarainola, Italy, in 1936 and 1940, respectively. They both left for America in the early 1950s, and they met by chance for the first time in 2025.
Well, it was a pleasure to hear that your father's story. I'm reading it. I'm emotional totally about it. You did a super job. And the story goes very much like mine. I would like to say thank you, Ilaria Serra, professor, doctor at Florida Atlantic University, who encouraged me to write my experiences. And the only thing that I would like to say that when I left, I too, Signor Antonio Russo, left by myself. I was 13 and a half. And I began writing my autobiography as soon as Ilaria involved herself in my story. So, and after graduating at age 81, I wanted to put it all down, and I didn't realize that I had so much to tell. And so the experiences and my mind became like a computer, the gigabytes. It looks like I don't know what I'm saying right now, but the memory was very much alive. And so I began and I couldn't stop. I mean, I was never going to be a writer the way Tanya is, but I put it all down.
It's a
And
beautiful book, by the way. Got it right here.
thank you. Thank you. So I would like to say that I'm thankful to be in this country because of my dad. And he came stolen, he stole away on a ship. And because of this, here I am to talk about it. But my experience as a young person at 13 and a half, I left on a boat. And I was 13 and a half, as I said. I left Roccarainola. And it was the year of the Jubilee, the Golden Jubilee, 1950. And I traveled on the Saturnia Italian line. And I needed someone to take care of me because I was underage. So a traveler volunteered, and she was like a sister to me on the boat. I enjoyed the boat trip. However, it was an experience I shall never forget. We were put in steerage because they oversold the tickets, and unbeknownst to us, we didn't know why we were on the 8th floor on the bow of the ship with stench of it was unbelievable. I mean, I didn't suffer as much as Mr. Russo did. I became a sailor. I was okay with the wailing and the moving and the groaning of the boat. However, the experience was not an easy one. 7 days of hell. And I would like to say that the smell of petroleum and the toilets that did not work is still embedded in me. And the sound of the motors groaning, moaning, it was incessant for 7 nights and 7 days. However, we were assigned great sitting, eating, and so I showed up for dinner every night. I felt okay. I spent much of my time on the foredeck to get the air. The contrast of the limited space in the bottom of the boat and the big immensity of the ocean completely mesmerized my trip. I couldn't believe that we were going to ever reach anywhere because the ocean was enveloping the boat. And I thought we were never going to make it. But I did arrive in New York, and I was met by my mother's sister, whom I had never met. But she held me so tight and so close that it was so emotional to meet someone that was my blood in a strange land. So I had much more, but now it's Mr. Russo's time to tell his story a
So
little bit.
similar. It's really mind-boggling, and
Yeah,
it's just really heart-wrenching too. Yeah,
yeah.
so we're starting. Thanks, Nicoletta. Yeah, this is an old picture. I'll let you take it from here.
You want me
Yes,
to go?
Your turn. How
Um,
about this? Yeah.
yeah, our stories are pretty much parallel to each other. I was
yes,
10 years old. The
yes,
passport picture that you see
yes,
uh, is that picture right there is the first time I ever left my town.
yes.
Go to Naples to take a picture to put in the passport.
See,
I had never been out of the country area that I was in. And I didn't really know uh, what was in store for me. But Sonia did an outstanding job with the story. I told stories and she scripted, and she did an outstanding job.
she
I don't
did.
know. I don't know. She must have got all of her brains from her mom. I have no idea. But anyway, I was put on a boat in 1950 also at the age of 10. And like I said, I had only been out of my town one time, and that was for the picture. And it was devastating because if I could have jumped off that ship, I would have.
Yeah,
I did not know what hit me. I was 10 years old. I walked up the plank with this gentleman that was supposed to watch me, take care of me. I only saw him once on the ship, one time. Most of the time I spent face down in the third deck, sick as a dog. And I moved up to the top to get air myself, but I had salami tied to my coat. My mom stuffed my coat with salami and provolone. And because I tried to find a place to eat, but the minute I stuck my head through the dining door, my stomach just overturned. And so I went back down to my room and I nibbled on salami and provolone for the whole trip. But in any case, I didn't know where I was headed because I had no idea. My mom kept telling me, "You have to go to America because money grows on trees and gold is on the ground." I didn't know what she was talking about. You know, Saldi, Lita, uh, I had no idea. So when I got on that boat, like I told you, I would have jumped if I could have because it was devastating. Leaving my mom, my dad, and my younger sister and brother, uh, looking down at them I can't even explain it. Anyway, uh, 7 days, 7 nights of nothing but torture. And,
in
and
the room.
anyway, I got to New York. I only knew one person, and that was an uncle. He was an American citizen that was enlisted in the U.S. Army. That had I was a war baby, and he had visited us, through the military. He had a family in NOLA, and he was the only the person I knew. He was a brother to my mom, and he was with another lady, my mom's older sister, and they picked me up at the port, and I was lucky. I didn't have to go. I don't know about Nicoletta, but I didn't have to go through customs. I had an American passport, believe it or not. I
Okay, I did.
was an American citizen, but I saw a lot of people had to go through and get checked and that kind of stuff. I didn't have to do that. I was pretty lucky, pretty fortunate. Anyway, I was with uncles and aunts, my family got separated for 4 years. I never saw them for 4 years. Unbelievable. And I don't know why we split up, why we had to come at different times. But anyway, that's part of the story. And but I will tell you this. I'm probably one of the luckiest guy to be alive because of what people did for me. Uh, I can't tell you going through school, not knowing how to speak English, going, uh, uh, living in different places for a year or so. Everybody wants you at first, and then they got their own problems. And so I ended up in Portland, Oregon, because my mother had a brother that lived here, and he sent for me, and the pictures you see on the screen on the left is a restaurant that relatives on my dad's side. I scrubbed pots and pans in the way back.
Yes.
And the first thing when I hit Portland, Oregon, you can see there, I was coming where the cowboys and Indians lived. So I had to have I had to have pistols. I don't know. Anyway, that's my uncle Tony and my aunt Gladys. They had lost everything in the Vanport flood. 2 years before I got there, and they had to rebuild their home and everything. It was devastating for them, and you can see that when I hit Portland, I felt like I was reunited with a family situation. Okay,
Well,
but it's still different in my mind, going through my head that I left my biological people in Naples, and I was wondering when we would ever get together. But anyway, that's mostly it as far as I'm concerned. But the picture you see there,
Wait, do we want to go to the wrestling?
like I said, I was very fortunate. I didn't know I was going to go to college because I wasn't much of a student. And anyway, I was fortunate enough to have some coaches. The picture you see there is me wrestling. It was called the Duel in the Sun. The Duel in the Sun was in Tempe, Arizona, on the campus, on the tennis courts, 110 degrees. And I was burning up, and they were burning up. So we wrestled out in the sun, and there was people all around the tennis courts at Palm Row. My coach made sure he was sitting in the shade, but he also made sure the other team was sitting in the sun. So
yeah.
but out there, the guy was already tired. You understand? So that's what that's I don't know how I made it to school, but anyway, I owe just about everything as far as my college education to my college coach, to be honest with you. He was my counselor, my mentor. He was a leader in getting me through, and I was his first graduate from in the coaching, physical education, and health. And I'm so thankful to him to this day.
In my situation, once I arrived in New York, my family lived in Louisiana. So I had to take a plane to get to Shreveport, Louisiana. And there too, I needed somebody that stayed with me while the 4 hours to the next flight would take. So since they lived in Louisiana, I left from LaGuardia Airport in Queens, and I finally was met by the most beautiful, attractive young stewardess who took me around Atlanta, Georgia on in a convertible, powder blue. Neither of us spoke. I didn't understand English. She didn't understand Italian, but she used sign language. Are you hungry? Do you want a drink? And I kept going like a donkey would do, like, no, no, I had no manners. I was 13 and a half. So she kept saying every half an hour, drink, eat, nah, nah. Finally, we get to the airport that the flight was ready to take off. I was hungry. So she pointed to the lit signs of hamburgers, French fries, hot dogs. I pointed to a banana split. So I swallowed that banana split, I think, in 3 minutes. She says, do you want another one? I said, no, no, no. That would make me look like a real cafone. I didn't want to do that. But I arrived in Louisiana. My father was a restaurant owner. He had a cocktail lounge named the Vanzo's Restaurant. And he soon enrolled me in a private school. I began to have an education, diction. A maid accompanied me to school. And Ida Mae was a Black woman who wanted to speak to me in Ebonics. So, and every now and then she says, you understand? Yeah, I doesn't want to understand. And she would talk some more. You does want to understand? I said, yes, I does want to understand. So my father forbid me to even attempt to want to speak like Ada. He says, I'm spending money for you to speak proper English. Okay, so no more Ebonics. But I loved Ada. It was a wonderful opportunity for me to learn what America was all about. And it has been 75 years since those first impressions. And as an immigrant, my journey has given me highs and lows, expectations and challenges. From a naive Italian girl of age 13, I am now the mature woman that I'm grateful for everything I've done and everything that happened to me. So now it's your turn again, Mr. Russo, to continue with your wonderful story about your.
I don't know. I can
Should
keep
we
going.
look at some of
I
the
could, yeah,
pictures
look at
of
some of the,
Rocca?
I could go on forever, but
Let's talk about maybe
if you look at this picture here,
Yes,
like I said, I was pretty fortunate in my field. I was chosen to take an all-star wrestling team to Italy. They didn't know what a cultural exchange was. It was new. It was new to that country. But anyway, I took an all-star team from Oregon to Italy, and you can see one of the athletes on the right there, one of our bigger guys, great kid. And this is the piazza where I was running around when I was a kid. In the background, you see a big black smoke area. That's a big oven where the women made their bread once
yes,
every
yes.
2 weeks.
All
And
food,
if
no
you look
food.
on top of that oven, you'll see bundles of
E
shrub.
sercinelle,
Yeah,
sercinelle.
yeah. My grandma and I, we used to haul those down from the mountains when they trimmed trees, and we the bundles, and they used those for the heat, baking bread.
Yeah,
There was always time for singing and music and dancing. It didn't matter what the situation was.
yes,
That's the
yes,
Italian way, man. I mean, after a meal or everybody broke sometime break into a song or whatever. And
yes,
the kids I took over there, they were American, of course, not all of them, but um, the customs that they were used to here, they didn't know how to adjust at first. I had to tell them because they wanted bacon and eggs and toast for breakfast. It doesn't happen in Italy.
Yeah, right.
You get a biscotti and a cafe latte. That's it. And then
Yes.
you eat your big meal at 1 o'clock. They didn't understand that. So I had to kind of teach them a little bit, and they got used to it. This town I lived in, Rocca, Gargano, Cicciano, they love these American kids. They took
Yes.
them in their homes. They embraced them, and we had one heck of a time. But before that, they wanted us to stay in a dorm up in Livorno. It was an Olympic. In 1960, they held the Olympics. It was an Olympic dorm. Well, we didn't. I didn't want that. We were cooped up. I told the guy that, hey man, we have to show these kids some culture. We have to take them around. So I called my uncle, um, and you see him in there with a harmonica in the middle. That's his wife there dancing with my cousin. Um, I told him that, hey, I got kids here that want to move around. And he went and bent a few arms because all they know is soccer. Lots of money for soccer, no money for wrestling. So he persuaded him to let us move around. So we went from Livorno to Rome to Naples, and the kids, and then they got to see Pompeii. They went to the churches. They went to the Vatican. They went to Capri. They soaked in history. You understand? They didn't know it. Some of them saw it in history books at school, but not real life. And those kids had one. I still get calls back from those kids, the experience they had in our country. And like I said, before that, they had no clue. The Italians had no clue about a cultural exchange program. So we did it, and it was a lot of fun. And I don't know, I can go on and on. The room used this is this is 1979. It was still my area was devastated with bombshells, and during the war we were running for our lives. You understand?
Yes. Yes.
And you
Yes.
see the walls, and you see on the right. I was born in this room right here, on top of the
Yes.
stairs. That's my cousin. That's my best friend that when I left. And this is my little cousin, his daughter. And this is today, right here, the same place. I don't know. Centuries later, they painted it a little bit, but but if you can understand this, uh, and I couldn't believe it in 1979 that it was still devastation. And
Yes.
I couldn't believe it, but it didn't matter. We had a heck of a time, and it was a beautiful thing. Like I said, I was the most fortunate guy on the planet. But this is in the backside of a reason I took this picture in 1979. This is on the backside of the neighborhood. You can see how they did their laundry. Do you see that?
Yes.
They hung from the windows, and they all did that. We all did that, and the kids had to wash their own when we ran, their own stuff. And my aunt, you don't have that picture, but she showed them how to use the washboard. And so experience was phenomenal. It was amazing. Um, anyway, this is it's still, you can see it. The wall was still ruined, and this is today still. Tanya took this picture, and there's the old oven. They don't use it anymore. Over here with this little car in this shack was my chicken coop. I had a chicken coop back there. But anyway, It was, and this is where my dad and his dad, my grandpa, boarded their horses. The wall is lapidated now. It's all broken up, but we used to climb up here to see the animals and run around the area. But that's what you see, and it's still there. It's still it's
Yeah,
the same. You can see it.
they consider it historical.
Very much so. Okay, here's Nicoletta.
This is my son, Sabatino, who will be 65 next month. 65 years old. I can't believe it.
Who?
I have 3 wonderful children.
Oh, okay.
Questo è mio figlio Sabatino, 65 anni.
See.
And Santa Lucia, I used to play up here all the time with my friends right after school. We would climb and go in and out of the sanctuary, and never aware that they had beautiful paintings. And we never questioned if we were intruding. It was our house. We belonged to this little church. But this is how we spend our spare time. The villa and the church, San Giovanni. I was baptized, first communion, and I got married in this church.
Yep.
And the town for me was a big
Rocca.
deal. This is a beautiful church. I learned how to tell time by that clock because, dun, a luna, dun, dun, sole due. Anyway, this is how I learned. And we knew when to get home. A luna was for dinner, for lunch. Alle 8 a casa. Nobody needed to stay outside any further than that. So we respected the town. This column, they unearthed it. They found an amphitheater in Roccarainola, and the city began in 1100. And this is the column that was in front of a university.
Wow.
It had a university. So the town held up the valued what was most important to us children. They believed in education, and there was a lot of respectful families. We obliged by their whims. Everybody was revered. And I am so happy that I had this background from this small town. It gave me a lot of strength. And here I am. My daughter, who lives in California, gave me a party for my big unveiling of the book. I felt so completely, this book launching was for me. Grazie, Ilaria. Thank you so much. You were wonderful. You knew that I had something to give, and you completely empowered me with it. You came along and you said that this is Maria, la figlia che abita in California, and I have a good life. I had a very nice life. Everything turned out for the best. My family empowers me with love. These are my 3 grandchildren. And this is at Maria's house. And so I can tell you, Mr. Russo, we both have been very lucky. We have been so lucky.
Very lucky.
To have daughters that inspired how to do the books. I wrote the words, but Maria put into the book. And your daughter completely has such a sweet voice in that book. You have given me such joy.
Oh,
I'm almost 3/4 finished.
wow.
I can put it down. It's full of a lot of information and joy and sorrow and growth. And we are grateful to be in this country. Di nuovo, grazie. Grazie a Ilaria. Grazie a Signor Antonio. Grazie ai miei nipoti. Look, this was when I was 80 years old. We went on a ship. And I look like I'm 50 in this picture. I love it.
Yes,
Yeah.
you do.
This one I'm 88, and you can see it.
Okay, well, here we are kind of at the end of the slide deck. And I'll just kind of jump in real quick and mention
Yes,
that Nicoletta's, your book is available at bookbaby.com. So if you Google
yes.
that, you'll find Memories of a Neapolitan Woman. And then the second edition of Antonio's book is going to have a new title. I'm very excited about that. So it's right here. The new title is Don't Cry in America, a memoir of unexpected journeys, family love, and the sport of wrestling. So if you would go to figsandfamilia.com, you can sign up for our newsletter and we'll let you know when it's released. So yeah, let's open it up to questions. I was going to see if I can see the chat somehow here. Oh, I found it. Okay. 3 new messages. Let's see. Oh, Christina, your hubby. Yes, they went to same time. So he knows some of those same places and people. So cool.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
Ilaria is asking you, did you ever want to go back to live in Italy? You
Yeah, no,
No, you
no,
don't? Okay. What
no.
about you, Antonio?
For me to go back and live there, I probably wouldn't. Uh, you know, just my memories are great, and my family's here, of course. But yeah, I don't think I would want to go back and live there. But uh,
And then Nicoletta, you wrote the book in 2 languages, Italian and English.
Yes.
Were they different versions? That's from
Uh, go ahead with your question. I'm sorry.
No, the question is from Ilaria, but she's
See,
asking if the Italian and English versions were different.
no, they were pretty much the same because Ilaria, I saved all my notes because you inspired me to write it in Italian during my senior year. And you gave me A plus. So I thought those I thought those notes were worthwhile.
Yeah.
And so then you asked me, are you going to rewrite this book in English or Italian for your family and children? And I said, well, I would think in English so that my grandchildren can appreciate the writing. And he says, yes, I think that's right. So I've always counted on you steering me right. So I did the Italian part to get my credits at FAU, and they were worth it. And the English part for my family. So I've been so inspired by this book that I'm living wonderful years to come. I want to live to be 120, if that's possible, but about 100. 100 is okay. I'll settle for that. But I feel healthy, I feel empowered, and I feel happy.
Wonderful.
So writing, it was like in English, they say a catharsis that I developed to find out who I really was. I'm a very nice person, and I love my children, and I love having gone to school. So I am satisfied. I really am.
Wonderful. Okay, this question is for both of you. Why were you both sent to America alone, leaving siblings and parents behind, especially at such a young age? Nicoletta,
My
do you want to go first?
yeah, my father left when I was 20 days old.
Hmm.
And it took almost 15 years for us to reach him. And when we went to the consulate, I was a very anorexic, very skinny little girl of 13. So they said I would never be able to make the trip, especially in December. I would not arrive alive in New York because my body would not take the strain of the trip. So I needed to get fattened. And so cod liver oil, 3 eggs, chocolate, ice cream, potatoes, and steaks every day. And it took 8 months. But my mother and brother were given the visa. They left in December. and I joined them in August because I needed to be a certain weight. I look like a Biafra little girl, you know, those kids that have all eyes, big stomach, and there was no fat on my body at all because I ate poorly. I was a finicky eater. I didn't like much of anything. So finally I became a little more heavy and they gave me the visa in August. That's
Wow.
the only reason. That's the only reason.
And then do you know
Eh,
why you went to Lum? Sorry, go ahead, Nicolette.
No, no, your father has another story. He needed to
Uh,
take advantage.
yeah, my story's a little different. Like I said, I was 10 years old. I was born during the war. And I believe to this day, I still don't know why we didn't come over as a family. We were broken up into three groups. One by myself, two, my mom by herself, and three, my father with the two young children. Now, I think that it was during those years, the war years, they might have had a number system. I do not know. But
Yes.
uh, I was devastated that, I mean, here I'm in America 2 years later, my mom comes here and I never met up with her. And then a year later, my dad and my two, uh, uh, my brother and sister were over here. But sent alone, I think the message was that I would come over here and make sure that I would send for them because this is where the better life was. We were, like I said, you see the pictures. Uh, we worked hard. We didn't own any land. We worked land for other people. My dad delivered goods, and but it didn't matter. We were happy. I mean, uh, we were scraping at times, yeah, but never a problem. But we were broken up as a family, and I think it had to do a lot to do with the lottery system they had during those war years.
Yes, yes, yes.
Nicoletta, is your book available to buy in Italian?
No, I didn't write it in Italian. I have all my notes from the school, and I just did it. It took me 5 years to get this whole thing transferred from Italian to English. So I only have it in English.
Okay. And then there's a note from Teresa. I'm proud of the sacrifice and love from both families to give both Nicoletta and Antonio the best start in America. Teresa. That's so sweet.
That's cool.
Josette's asking, Tanya, will the second edition of the book include new chapters? Yes, 3 new chapters are kind of rewritten in addition to the ending of the book, and then a new introduction, new title, new cover. So,
Recipes.
oh, and recipes. We
Wonderful.
realized when we wrote the whole book and then we're like, what's the first time we mentioned food? You know, so we went back to look. It was the third sentence of the first page. So,
Tanya learned how to make pasta fazool.
and Joan Nova, very interesting, grazie. Thank you. One more question. How did you reconnect with your family? How and when? I'm wondering if that's for you. Oh, that's a good question. You didn't really tell how you reconnected with the biological family.
Um, the way it happened was I had been in Portland for almost 4 years. My mom was back in New York. She found an apartment because she knew my dad was coming that year. And when they got there, they wanted me with them. And guess what? They sent a one-way ticket from Portland to New York. I ended up going back there. I was almost 14 years old. And that's how we reunited in New York. But my ultimate goal was to get my family together, everybody together here in Portland. That was my ultimate goal. And you know what? I worked hard on it and it came.
No,
Where are
Yeah.
they?
in the room.
You've been on it for a while.
Yeah, I know.
Are there any other questions or comments or? And I can't see you all, so if you did want to say something, please unmute. Because if you're raising your hand, I might not see you.
Can't hear her.
Arlene, are you talking? Oh, there we go. Now I think,
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
okay. Oh, you recognize my name from the, I don't know what that 1H, it's from another Zoom meeting that I'm with. But
Oh.
yeah, no, I was glad too that he answered that, Antonio answered that question about how he reunited with the entire family. And 4 years is a really long time. So I appreciate all that he did. And it's both of you, wonderful story. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Really great. So, yeah, it's an experience that we born in America, of course, don't, never had. So it's interesting to read other people's experiences.
I do have one more I'd like to add. It's amazing that we waited all these years, your father and I, to put this down. I don't know, we were waiting to do something because we were aggressive and wanting to do it. Because it's just very coincidental that we're about the same age, but he's still a young man. He's 83, no?
Both young. You're
And
both.
I'm 88, so I'm the old lady here.
No.
But I enjoyed doing this, and it was a
Unbelievable.
pleasure connecting with you. And I do want to add that Mr. Russo has relatives that have my same maiden name, Davanzo. So we're like, I don't know, the town is a small town. We could be
Yes.
connected. And my daughter suggested should do the DNA because I had an aunt whose name was Napi too.
Wow.
You know, my mother's aunt was Napi,
I'd be
and
a
you
little
said
bit
your
related.
grandmother was
Yeah.
Napi.
Cousins.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
very interesting.
distant cousins.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really not distant.
So
You both need
thank
to
you
do
so
that.
much.
Yeah.
And for me, I thank Ilaria for connecting us because
Ilaria.
she sent me an email. She says, read such and such book. I mean, connected with them, you're from the same town. Her and her husband, they're readers. They're up on everything. So thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. But I have a question regarding the choice of the covers, because it seems to me that these covers, you didn't choose your picture as an adult, as a successful wrestler, but you chose the one that when you just arrived. So your first
Yes.
impression in your eyes, Nicoletta, you can see the joy of living in your eyes. Antonio, you see I don't know, the fear, the wonder. It's like a deer's eyes.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was a choice.
It's coincidence. I find this very coincidental. These two faces looking at each other from the same town. And again, Tanya, what a beautiful story you tell. Your words are very inspiring. You're beautiful written. I'm enjoying it very much.
You.
So I'll buy the other one too.
Well, the new book, we might go with a different picture, so we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, it felt really natural for the first edition.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. Thank you, everyone. We're just so excited that you all came to hear
One more
Nicoletta.
question.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Ilaria. Oh, yes.
For both of you, Nicoletta and Antonio, which is the most intense, the first or most intense memory you have of America?
Of America?
For us, first?
And most
The first or the most intense?
America. Most intense memory of America.
New York City,
Promising when you
New
arrived.
York City to me was like, I can't believe I'm in I thought the buildings were going to fall on me. They were so tall. And, you know, I was picked up by my cousin in a car, and I'm looking, and I can't believe that this place, the bridges were so big. I never saw bridges in my life like that. So New York City impressed me to no end. And I was right away taken to Radio City Music Hall, to the Paramount. I went to see all kinds of things, stuff I only dreamed of because I was a movie buff. And I thought, oh my God, this is what I saw. I thought I was going to live in the White House, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, my grandpa Giuseppe on my mother's side
Yes.
telling me, quando vedi la donna, sta in America. When you see the lady, you're going to be in America. The
Yes,
lady with the
yes.
torch,
Statue of
Statue of
Liberty, yes.
Liberty. That's the first thing. That's what the first thing impression on me, and I can't get it out of my mind to this day.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
the other thing that happened was when I got to New York, they instead of wine, they gave me a glass of beer, and I spit it all out. I never tasted a beer in my life.
Yes,
And
yes.
my uncle gave me I said no, but my first impression was the lady, the big lady with a torch.
Yes, yes,
Wonderful. It was outstanding.
yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay,
Thank you very
we'll
much.
have to do this again.
Yes, we'll have to do this again. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you.
Thank you.
Arrivederci.
Bye for
Saluti.
from Florida.
Saluti. Teresa, thank you for
Again.
showing your love for me on this Zoom. I'm
Aw.
so glad you came.
I love you, Mom. I'm very
Yeah.
proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ciao.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Arrivederci.
Goodbye.
Arrivederci.
Ciao.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't know how to get out.
Let's see here.